All right, you're good.
What's up and welcome to the EEphus, episode 32. I'm Justin Ledger here with Zach Hummel. Zach, my first question for you right off the bat is when can we just stop saying episode numbers? When do you get to that point where you just don't have to say episode numbers anymore?
I think it's like Prez on the rundown. He never gets to this doesn't matter anymore. It's an arbitrary number.
Yeah, at this point, 32, I mean, that's like, it's not like a ton of episodes, but no one cares if you're on episode 32, episode 52. I think I might have to retire from doing that. But on that note, it is episode 32. It's the All-Star break. We got a lot to talk about in this episode. We're not going to have much next week with the break being these few days, but we're going to cover a lot today. So we'll start right off with our favorite stories from the past week. So that goes a little bit before the All-Star break as well. I'll let you go first. What was your favorite story from the past week?
Yeah, so I know we'll probably be discussing this later in the episode, but Kyle Freeland of the Rockies, I think he was your NL Rookie of the Year pick.
He was, yep.
Very close to a no-hitter within 2 outs, I believe, and then Melky Cabrera broke it up. The funniest part to me is his parents were in the stand, which was unreal timing that he had such a good outing when his parents and I think his sister was in the stands. But there's a
I think it was his girlfriend, and she was.
his girlfriend.
I don't know if it was girlfriend or sister. Either way, attractive woman.
Attractive, yeah, attractive. And you know when Melky got that hit to break it up, the camera was on them like it should have been, and they both just let out like an audible like shit. It's the perfect gif like of just two parents seeing the ball. They're like, oh no, that's a hit. Fuck. Yeah. Like it's just perfect. It just fit the no hitter so bad. It's so funny how these people, the no hitter is like this thing acting like it's winning a World Series. They're on pins and needles because you do go down in history, especially with the Rockies. I'm sure they haven't had a ton of like no hitter guys. So it's just funny to see the parents react to the close no-hitter by Kyle Freeland, sort of a no-name guy unless you follow baseball closely.
True. Yeah, I mean, it's a cool moment, though. I mean, especially when you're a rookie like that. I could see if he was in the league for like 15 years and had already gotten a no-hitter before, it's like, calm down. It's really not that big of a deal. I don't value no-hitters a whole lot. But when you're a rookie and it's like your third month in the big leagues and your parents and your girlfriend or whoever, sister, siblings, whatever, are going to your games and like, it's just that was such a cool moment. I was watching it live and it was intense. Everyone was very much into it, which I mean, again, it's the Rockies. The Rockies have this charm to them this year. It went along with that too, and the fact that it was at Coors Field was very impressive. You're not going to see many no hitters at Coors Field. So all around, this was a fantastic story. I watched this live, and when Melky got that hit, I was so mad. Like I was a Rockies fan for that game. And Melky Cabrera is one of my least favorite players of all time. So the fact that it was him just sucked.
Yeah, it's funny, too. Like, anytime you watch a Rockies game, something weird's going to happen. It's like must-watch television.
Yeah, I love it. So that was a great story. I probably would have picked that if you didn't already pick it. But since I can't pick that, I'm going to pick Jon Lester, letting up 10 runs to the Pirates. Doesn't make it out of the first inning. I think I'm pretty sure I read something that he's the second player to ever do that in history of like baseball. So that's not a good look for Jon Lester. And it's the Cubs in a nutshell. That game was the Cubs in a nutshell for the first half of the season. Whether they turn it around for the second half of the season remains to be seen. But that not the greatest showing from Jon Lester, to say the least.
I know all these Red Sox fans, obviously they wish we'd re-sign Lester. Well, it's like, he's not that great right now. Obviously, It would have been great 2 or 3 years ago, but that day was wild. Like the Pirates put up that number on Lester. The Astros almost scored 20 runs. Like the Sunday before the All-Star break, all bets are off.
People are trying to weird day. Weird day.
Yeah, and it is a microcosm of the Cubs season for sure. It's just been a very disappointing first half for the Cubs.
Very fitting end to their first half for sure. When Cervelli hit that grand slam, I was like, oof, like Lester's like not going to make it through this first inning. And right on cue after that, McCutchen hits that solo homer. I'm like, holy shit, this is the Cubs first half, like summed up in one inning. So that was my favorite story. We'll move on to the home run derby, which was last night. Aaron Judge took over. It was the Aaron Judge show with a little bit of Justin Bour. My pick for the derby was Aaron Judge. Yours was Justin Bour, and both, I think those two were the top performers of the Derby. I mean, if Justin Bohr was allowed to keep going, I think it would have been a showdown between him and Judge in the finals if it wasn't a bracket format.
Yeah, I was slacking you last night. Like, I had put money on Bohr. I was pissed because I didn't look at the bracket, which I probably should have done. But the fact that they have a bracket for the home run derby is the stupidest fucking thing I've ever heard in my life. Like, just let the guys all compete on the level playing field in the first round, because then it takes out of the matchups. Like, if Bohr was going against fucking Mike Moustakas or Miguel Sano, he would have advanced easily, but he had to go against Aaron Judge. Like,
Miguel Sano had no place being in the final round. No.
No, I had friends like texting me like, "Who the hell is this guy?"
Like,
and it's just Bohr. He was like a WWE character. Obviously, he had the home crowd behind him. Stanton got eliminated first round, so he was the only Marlin left, and he was crushing the ball. Stanton fed him like what, a hot dog mid round. He was just getting the crowd pumped, and that's what the home run derby needs. It needs more of that, and it was disappointing to see him get eliminated in the first round because he had a bad bracket matchup. Like, who the fuck ranks these things? No one knows.
The bracket has to go. Justin Bohr being the 7th seed in the first place is such bullshit. I mean, that guy has so much power. He belongs. The Derby is his element. So that just shows not only is the bracket system flawed, but it's the worst idea of all time. The rest of the home run derby format, like the timed format and like the bonus time and all that, I am completely on board with that. I'm not on board with the bracket. So just have the same type of format. Just get rid of the bracket entirely. That's the way I look at it.
I actually like the timing thing opposed to just like quote unquote how many outs you get, because the timing at least you have to you know, if you're a couple behind, you start quick pitching and trying to hit them out, and it creates some drama. So I like that part, but the bracket has to go because it just depends on who you're matched up against, who advances. You could get the best matchup in the first round, which I think we did last night.
Yeah, Judge and Bohr in the final round would have been a spectacle. And I think there's a lot of people who just shit all over the Derby. I think if that was allowed in the last round, if that happened in the last round, you would hear a lot of naysayers switch their opinions real quick, because that would be electric television.
Yeah, I saw the TV ratings today. The Derby is like doing better numbers than the All-Star game now, which, I mean, the Derby last night was like, I don't usually watch the Derby like in full, but last night I tuned in for the whole thing because Judge was hitting balls 500 feet and Bohr was acting like a WWE character, just the home crowd guy just going off.
Yeah, it was definitely enjoyable. It was the Aaron Judge show, though, in the end. 3 home runs over 500 feet, which is ridiculous. At one point, he hit the roof, and I don't even think they counted it as a home run, which is another one of the dumbest things I've ever heard, because I'm pretty sure if a ball hits the roof, it's going to go out. Like, it deserves to be like considered out of the stadium, especially when it's off the bat of Aaron Judge. The 513-foot homer was something straight out of a video game I played in like 2004. Like that was insane. I've never seen anything like that. I mean, I guess Mark McGuire and guys like that did hit balls like that, but we haven't seen anything like that since.
Yeah, it was funny. Like, I thought the announcing crew was downright terrible. Like, they would have guys on the set and they were doing terrible. And then Jessica Mendoza would just like get all wet from a ball. She'd be like, "Oh my God,
wow,
that's the longest ball I've ever seen in person." She was just like wild.
Yeah. I like Mendoza. Like, I think she brings like good analysis during real games. The home run derby, I was like, shut up. Just shut for 2 seconds. She wouldn't shut up.
Yeah, I tweeted it for the first time. Like, I kind of miss Chris Berman. Like, I need shtick with the home run derby. I don't need analysis. I just need like crazy references.
I miss the back. I miss that. Like, I needed that. I needed more of that during the derby. That along with the bracket, probably my 2 main complaints. So that was the Derby. I mean, not much to talk about of the Derby other than Aaron Judge was unreal. Bohr put on a show, and Miguel Sano did not belong in the final round, and the bracket sucks. So we're going to move on to a little this opinion of mine. I don't know how people are going to take this. I hear a lot of people say it's a stupid idea, and I hear a lot of people say that it's a fantastic idea. So I don't know where you're going to fall on this, but I strongly believe that MLB needs a skills competition. We see NFL, we see NBA, we see NHL. They all have skill competitions. And I guess you can make the argument that those are like skill sports. Basketball, you have a set of skills, passing. dribbling, shooting, whatever. NHL, you have the same idea. NFL, same idea. But baseball, I mean, people don't look at it as that type of sport, but it is. It is that type of sport. Skills competition, not only for that reason, but also because, I mean, you'll be able to market a whole different group of players. The home run derby, you're marketing guys like Judge, guys like Bohr, guys who are going to hit the ball 500 feet. The skills competition, you're marketing defensive players, guys like Arenado. You're going to Arenado can knock the ball out of the park, but I tune in to watch Arenado for his defense. You're going to tune in to watch speed guys, Billy Hamilton, D. Gordon, etc. Malik Smith, who no one even knows about, but he's an up-and-comer. So that's like my rant there. I think MLB needs a skills competition for a ton of reasons, mainly marketability and just the fact that it would be fun to watch.
No, I'm all in on the skills competition. I even like the skills competition so much that I want to see, like, I think the NFL used to do this. They used to have like a 5-on-5 game. Like, I want to see guys play different. Like, I just want to see how good they are at different things. Like, why don't you have a 3-on-3 basketball game? Yeah, wiffle ball or something like that.
Yeah. So I have ideas here. I actually wrote a blog on this. You guys can check it out on theledgesports.com. I have 6 ideas for a skills competition. So I'll go over them. You can add ideas if you want. I want you to judge these from a outside perspective. So number 1, I have defensive showdown. So what I wrote in the blog is guys like, for example, Arenado, Machado, and Donaldson will field balls at third base. They'll be judged by their like accuracy of their throws, like their range, all those. I mean, we have StatCast now. There's no excuse. Everything can be tracked. And then you'd have judges who would put on like the best show, I guess you could say. And you'd have like Yasiel Puig and Yoenis Cespedes, like having like throwing strength competitions, Jackie Bradley Jr., Kiermaier, Pilar, out in center field, you know what I mean, making spectacular catches. So that's number 1. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that's a good one. Obviously, all these teams are going to be like nervous their players get injured, which is probably why they don't have it. But right. I think those are good. I just think it's tough to like keep it consistent across all because of like whoever's hitting the fly balls or whether it's machine, like maybe someone gets a different hop and it makes it look cooler. Like I don't know, it's tough to but I would love to see that. It would like you said, it gets eyeballs on players that not everyone knows, like household names, pretty much.
There's got to be a way to do it. There just has to be. I mean, if you can find a way, if you're Major League Baseball, to make this cool. Number 2, I have speed drills, very straightforward. My idea was have the fastest players in the game hit the ball off of a tee and run around the bases and just time their speeds. It'd be a very like quick, easy competition. But that way you can really determine who's the fastest player around the base paths.
Yeah, I'm in for that. I would just even like just a 40-yard dash, like head to head, just go.
Right, yeah, that too. Races, anything like that. My third one involves fast players as well. It could also not involve them. You could just take them out entirely, but this idea in particular has it. So catchers versus speedsters. So you would have the best defensive catchers in the game go head-to-head against the fastest players in the game. So you would have guys like Yadier Molina, Sal Perez, Buster Posey, all those guys. You would time their like pop times. You would see who would have like the best throws, who throws out the most guys. Just that type of idea.
Yeah, I think that's good. Now that I'm thinking about it, I think the sport that does skills competitions the best is hockey. Like I'm not a hockey guy, but I'll tune in to see like the speed skate or like the skills with their hands. And I think this is kind of like their shootout thing. You just have two. You have a goalie and you have a guy skating down. Now you have a catcher versus, the fast guys in MLB and see if they can throw them out.
Yeah, think about like Aroldis Chapman pitching to Yadier Molina trying to throw out Billy Hamilton. Like that's what I have in mind. So now I have another easy one, pitching accuracy. So what you do is you set up a target. You give kind of like darts in a way, where you give point values for each spot on the target, and you set like a minimum velocity at like 80 miles per hour. So the speed, you can't just like lob it in to be accurate. You still have to kind of put a little bit of speed on it, and you just track who is the most who pinpoints their pitches the best.
Yeah, I think just like the hockey shot where they have to hit the targets across the whole net, just do that with pitching. And like you said, you definitely need to include like a velocity limit so people aren't just throwing like EEphus in there.
Right, exactly. I wrote even Jared Weaver can participate if he wants to. I think he makes the cut. Spray hitting. So we see Home Run Derby. It's the power hitter show. This is the contact hitter show. You would have guys like Jose Altuve, Xander Bogaerts, these guys who can hit the ball the other way, kind of place almost like they're placing the ball all over the field wherever they want it. So you would set up targets throughout the field, certain amounts, and they would just try to hit them by spray hitting.
I like that. Did you ever play triple play baseball where you had that thing where you put ramps and stuff? That'd be cool if they put like ramps and targets and stuff.
That was literally what I had in mind. And maybe they could play on the moon like they do in triple play too.
Yeah.
And lastly, I got something that was a huge subject last year because of Bumgarner. Pitcher home run derby. Make it like on a smaller stage, sort of. It's not going to be as like big of a spectacle as the regular home run derby, but similar rules. You could even, I wouldn't mind a bracket for this one because everyone's kind of on the same playing field as pitchers. You got like Bumgarner, Arrieta, Greinke, Syndergaard. You set them all up and you just have a home run derby. I would love to watch that.
Yeah, definitely. I love seeing pitchers hit.
So that was all mine. Do you have anything else?
Yeah, I had two that like stood out to me other than I read your blog, so I saw the ones that you had and I try not to copy them. So I had outfielders hitting the trash can at home plate. I'm not sure, like at baseball camps they have that a lot, like where you run in and field it and you have to hit the trash can at home plate and you get like points per team. I think that could be a cool idea.
That's what I had in mind for, like, for example, like Puig and Cespedes would do that from like left field, right field, whatever. That would be interesting to watch because I think both of those guys would have a showdown big time.
Yeah. And then my other one would be like something like a dunk contest where you get creative. It'd be a double play combo. So you'd have like Altuve and Correa, you'd have like Pedroia and Bogarts, and you'd have to do like different cool like flips. And you'd have like, just throw jamokes out there for runners, but like have them do cool different stuff to turn cool double plays, I guess.
I actually really like that. That's something that I would, like, me and you would tune into that and genuinely enjoy that. I don't know how like the casual fan might like tune in and be like, I don't know what's going on, but that's like something me and you would like, I know for a fact we'd enjoy that. I don't know why. I mean, I think it's only a matter of time till baseball does this, but until they do, it's like, what are you doing? Just you got to. It's like they're late to everything. Now they're figuring it out with social media, like 3 years after every other league did. Maybe that's the case with this too.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so now we got first half awards. Very self-explanatory. We're just going to hand out awards like we would at the end of the year, except it's the end of the first half. Be interesting to see if all of these change come the end of the year, because that's very possible. That seems to happen every single year, that like the best guys fall off the map in the second half. We'll start with MVPs. I mean, my AL MVP is Aaron Judge. There's no doubt about it. I don't know if you can, like, how you could look at it any other way, but it's Aaron Judge. I mean, he's the face of baseball right now. So he's my AL MVP in a landslide. Doesn't really even need much explanation.
Yeah, for sure. I echo that. I have Judge. I don't know where the Yankees would be without him. I think maybe under 500, to be honest.
Absolutely. NL MVP, I got Paul Goldschmidt. I think there's a lot of people who would say Bellinger, Harper, guys like that, but I got Goldschmidt. I mean, again, he's under the radar out there in Arizona, but Goldschmidt's a guy who year in, year out is just so good. He's always in the MVP talk. I think this is the year he finally gets it done. Yeah,
Goldschmidt's definitely the favorite. I picked your guy, Arenado, because I just think, we talk about this Rockies lineup that's really strong. I like looked at it the other day, and I think the D-backs might have a deeper lineup. Like they have Jake Lamb, they have guys that can hit. I think Arenado is like far and away the best hitter on their team. Obviously, they have Blackmon and LeMahieu, but I think Arenado is really like the glue that keeps them together in terms of competitiveness. So I'd go Arenado.
You know how much I love Arenado, and it pains me not to pick him. But, I mean, it's definitely a good chance that Arenado could win that. Cy Young's my AL Cy Young's Chris Sale. Again, it's just such an easy pick. What he's done this season, his first year in Boston, which is not an easy place to play at all. I mean, look at David Price. David Price has been good lately, but he has not had a good tenure in Boston so far. Sale has come right into Boston and made it a huge impact. Like you said about the Yankees with Judge, I don't want to know where the Red Sox would be without Sale. So that's my pick for AL Cy Young.
Yeah, mine's Sale. The AL like Cy Young, other than Sale, the candidates are pretty bad. So he's a clear favorite to me.
NL Cy Young, I got Scherzer. I'm not about to declare him the best best pitcher in baseball over Kershaw, but Scherzer this year has been better. And he's been like lights out, like better than Scherzer's ever been. And he's won the Cy Young twice before. So Scherzer's my pick for NL Cy Young.
Yeah, I went Kershaw here just because of his last start. I think his last start pushed him over Scherzer for the first half because Scherzer had kind of a shaky start in his last start, and Kershaw struck out like 13 guys, went 8 innings. And I also think Washington has a better pitching staff in total, while the Dodgers, their pitching's kind of shaky other than him, the starting pitching. So right. I think he's a little more valuable maybe.
All right, AL Rookie of the Year. We don't even need to get into it. It's Aaron Judge. NL Rookie of the Year. It's Bellinger. Right now it's Bellinger in a landslide. I know I picked Freeland like right as Bellinger started getting hot, and Bellinger hasn't really cooled down too much. I mean, I think he's hitting like 255 or something like that, but he's got the 25 homers, so you got to give him the NL Rookie of the Year right this second.
Yeah, I had Judge and Bellinger too. I don't think there's any argument in any other way.
Yep, agreed. Manager of the Year, I have AJ Hinch of the Astros in the AL. They're the best team in baseball. You can make an argument for the Dodgers as well in the NL, but I think the Astros are the best overall team in baseball. And the manager usually has a lot to do with that. So I got AJ Hinch.
Yeah, I kind of went off the board here. I went Kevin Cash with the Rays. I just think they're playing really well for what their talent level and their payroll is. So I like to give it to someone that their team usually isn't that good and they're having a good year. So I'd give it to him.
It's a great pick. Neither of us had high expectations for the Rays at all, and they're right there in the AL East. So I like that. NL Manager of the Year, I have Craig Counsell on the Brewers. Brewers are leading the Central over the defending champs. I didn't really see any other options here.
Yeah, I went D-backs with Lovello just because they were pretty much dog shit last year, and they brought in the Red Sox brass. They brought in Hazen and Lovello, and they've pretty much turned it around with a similar roster. So I'd go Lovello.
All right, I don't know if you prepared these, but I wrote a blog and I have mine, so I'll name mine. And if you have something, then say it. AL Dud of the Year. My Dud of the Year in the AL is Manny Machado. Manny Machado offensively has not been there this season. He just hasn't. It's like been a first half slump all the way. Defensively, he's a stud. He always has been. Offensively, I don't know where he's been since like late April. So he's my AL Dud of the Year.
Yeah, my dud so far this year, it's actually a Red Sox. It's Rick Porcello.
Okay.
He's been underwhelming after his Cy Young year, and I think we all kind of expected it. But we got Sale, we had Price, and we were like, all right, we had 3-headed horsemen with Porcello. But now I think he's the worst out of the 3, just based on their last couple of starts. So I'm gonna go Rick Porcello just because he did win the Cy Young last year.
All right, and then we got NL Duds of the Year. My NL Dud of the Year is Kyle Schwarber. The fact that Kyle Schwarber got sent down to AAA at one point, and he was supposed to be like the next big thing for the Cubs. He's the dud of the first half. I mean, that you can't really slice it any other way. He was batting like 180. He just simply has not been the guy Cubs fans have wanted him to be. I don't know if a lot of it's just that injury like made him, I don't know, kind of just lose his mechanics at the plate. Like, I don't really know what the deal is there, but he started to figure it out when he got promoted at the very end of the first half. So maybe he figures it out for the second half, but that's my NL Dud of the Year so far.
Yeah, I had Schwarber too. I mean, I drafted him in fantasy pretty high. I was like, this guy's going to have an unreal year after his playoffs, and he's just been so disappointing. I just echo everything you said. He needs to figure it out if the Cubs have any chance.
And then on the other end of the spectrum, we have breakout players of the year. American League breakout player of the year for me is Justin Smoke. Toronto Blue Jays the Blue Jays have sucked all year so far. But Justin Smoke has sort of been the bright spot, and without him, that offense is underperforming big time. Between Donaldson, Batista, the guys you expect to contribute in that lineup have not done so up to their level this season. But Justin Smoke has come out of nowhere, and he's having a career year. I think he's starting at first. He started at first base in the All-Star game. So Justin Smoke's my pick.
Yeah, I went Jason Vargas from the Royals, pitcher. Like, he's probably your second AL Cy Young candidate from the first half with the Royals. I mean, they've been underwhelming, but he has like an under 3 ERA. I think he's got over 11 wins. I'd go Jason Vargas just because we haven't really seen this out of him in his career. So I'd go him for breakout.
So my NL breakout is Eric Thames, who I don't know why he wasn't in the Home Run Derby. I don't know why he's not in the All-Star game. Eric Thames was the story of the first 2 months of the season, and then now it seems like no one cares anymore. And it doesn't make any sense because his numbers are still pretty good. So Eric Thames is my NL breakout player of the year because if he's not going to get recognition from the rest of the league, I should at least give him some.
Yeah, I went Marcell Ozuna from Miami. I mean, he's got all the talent in the world, but he finally put it together in the first half. They're sort of building a 3-headed monster down there in Miami with Stanton, Bohr, and Ozuna. Like, I wouldn't want to face any of those guys late in the game.
Yeah.
So I think Ozuna, he's really raised his average and he's increased his plate discipline. So I'd go him for the NL.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, too, if he gets moved. I think we talked about that before, but I don't know if Ozuna is going to be a Marlin for too much longer. I don't even know if Bohr is going to be. Bohr is the subject of some trade rumors as well. I think the Yankees in particular are looking at him, so that's something to keep an eye on as we get into the second half here. So those are our awards for the first half. So going off, we talked about some duds. We talked about like some stud guys. Which studs do you see having a rough second half? Guys who have been unreal first half that you think are going to fall off the face of the earth in the second half?
I had a couple guys. I had one from the NL, one for the AL. I had Ryan Zimmerman from the NL just because he's had such a good first half. At his age, I just don't see him doing it for a full season. It's such a grind. And then from the AL, I had Logan Morrison. Obviously, he's had an unreal first half, but I think, as you've seen in the media, some of his success has gone to his head, and he's kind of talking out of his ass about a lot of things. Like he's perennial all-star player when he really hasn't done shit in his career. So those are my two guys who, studs in the first half, but will drop off in the second half.
So I only have one. I like both of those picks, and I agree with them. I have one of my own. It might be a surprise to a lot of people. Cody Bellinger. We saw he started to cool off as we got into the break. He really did. I mean, he wasn't hitting homers for the last week or two. His average dipped from like 280 to 255. I know, like, you can't really tell a lot just by like a week or two. Maybe he had like a tiny cold spell. But Cody Bellinger strikes me as the type who can fall off in the second half a little bit. He'll still be decent, but he's not going to be like the stud that we saw to start off the year. And Dodger fans are going to hate me for saying this, but Bellinger reminds me a lot of Jock Peterson. Jock Peterson came out firing the first half of the season, one of the best power hitters in the game. I think he was in the Home Run Derby, was he not? Jock Peterson?
Oh, no. Oh, yeah. He was.
Year.
And then he fell off.
Yeah. Last year or 2 years ago, Peterson was in the Home Run Derby, and then he fell off the face of the earth. I see a lot of similarities between Bellinger and Jock Peterson. So that's my pick to fall off in the second half.
I like that one.
So now we'll go the opposite way. Which duds, guys who have not performed well at all, I guess you could say, in the first half, turning it around, having a stud second half?
I just have a couple of names here I'll run through quick. Alex Gordon, I mean, he's hitting 195. He's a career, like, way higher hitter, almost 300 guy. So I think he'll figure it out as the Royals sort of trend upwards. My guy, Trevor Story, tough first half for him. I think he'll improve in the second half. He seems like he's getting healthy from all of his niggling injuries. So hopefully he has a better second half. And then Jonathan VR from the Brewers, he had an unreal year last year. He struggled so far this year, even though the Brewers have been winning. I think he'll turn it around given, he's got a lot of protection in that lineup now. So those are three guys I think could turn it around in the second half.
I'm a big Jonathan VR guy. I love the way that guy plays the game. I love fast players. I love contact guys. I think he plays the game. The way he plays the game is just very exciting. He'd be a good guy for the skills competition.
Yeah.
So mine is Justin Verlander. This is the guy who was in the Cy Young running last year. I think he finished second to Rick Porcello. And I think his ERA this season has been upwards of like 5. Similar to everything you already said about Porcello this year. Verlander's having a similar type of season so far. Very uncharacteristic of Verlander. The last couple starts of the first half, he didn't strike anyone out, which is very strange for Verlander, very unlike him. So I don't see that carrying over to the second half. I think he figures it out. And here's a little twist to that. I don't know if it'll be with the Tigers. I think he's going to figure it out potentially somewhere else, maybe the Cubs. So that's something else to keep an eye on.
Yeah, I mean, that Kate Upton curse is going to catch up to him eventually, and this is the year it's happening.
Maybe. All right, so we will finish off with bold predictions for the second half. So I will start with mine. Again, I wrote a blog on this too, so I have mine in front of me already. My first one, we'll go back and forth here if that works for you. Yep. My number one is the Chicago Cubs missed the playoffs. Now, I'm not sure how bold this is exactly because the way they've played in the first half, it's not really bold at all to say that, but it is the defending champs we're talking about. So you got to think there's a lot of people still saying they're gonna make playoffs. They're gonna make playoffs. They're too good not to. I disagree. I don't think they're that great of a team this season. They have not played like it at all. There's a lot of things that just simply aren't going their way. We talked about Lester. So, yeah, that's my first bold take, I guess, is that the Cubs aren't even going to make the playoffs.
No, I totally agree with you. I'm a Cubs truther. I don't think they're that good this year. I'll stick with a team-oriented one. I think the Royals end up making the playoffs. They're 3 games out of the division, and they're a game and a half out of the wild card. From where they started this season, like talking about shipping everyone out, they're almost back to 500. So I think they make they maybe make a move for pitching, and they go no, I'm not going to say they're going to beat the Indians in the division, but I think they get a wild card spot and make the playoffs.
Do you think they keep those guys like Moustakas, Hosmer, Lorenzo Cain? Do you think they keep all of those guys at the deadline?
I think maybe they try to float one of them for like pitching because they desperately need starting pitching. Since I mean, their best starter is Jason Vargas. Obviously, Ventura is dead now. I mean, as sad as that is, so they definitely need an arm.
They definitely do. Vargas is gonna. I don't think that's success. That's one of those guys too that the studs can turn into duds in the second half. Vargas could be one of those guys. I could even honestly, I could see them floating Vargas around for someone. So, as for wild card spots, this is my second bold prediction. I got the Tampa Bay Rays and the LA Angels as my 2 wild card teams in the AL. Now the Rays wouldn't be surprising. They're right there. In the wild card hunt. I think they have a wild card spot right now. As for the Angels, might be a little bit bolder. They're 3 games out, which I was surprised to see that. They're only 3 games out of the wild card right now with a team that isn't really good. Like, they're just an team. And yet, they haven't had Mike Trout. Mike Trout's been out for quite a while now, and Mike Trout's coming back to start off the second half, and I think he's going to set the tone for this team. I think they're going to make a run for the playoffs.
Yeah, I think that's a good one. The Angels are definitely a team to watch in the second half, especially with Trout coming back. But they've played almost better with Trout out, so it's interesting.
Definitely interesting. I don't know how that works, but that's been the case. So we'll see what kind of impact Trout makes when he gets back. All right, so yeah, you go.
So one of my bold predictions is Chris Sale. He's going to get the 400 strikeouts. I believe that's a record if he does. I think Nolan Ryan has it at like 390 something. I don't know. I don't really know the specifics, but he's at 178 now. I think, if the Red Sox are in the midst of a playoff race down the stretch, which I think they will be based on a lot of teams getting better, he's going to be starting like maybe on 4 days rest in a lot of spots because he is their best pitcher by far, and I think he'll rack up those strikeouts. He's in double digits almost every night, so I think he ends up getting to that 400 mark. That's a bold prediction I have.
That would be unbelievable. My next bold prediction is that Tim Tebow, our boy Tim Tebow, makes his major league debut for the Mets at some point in the second half. My guess is when they have the 40-man rosters in September. I think Tebow makes the cut. And it's not going to be because he's good in the minors. It's going to be because they say this is the perfect marketing opportunity, and Tebow is going to get a start, and all eyes are going to be on the Mets for that game.
Yeah, I mean, they might as well, since they're out of it at this point. Might as well bring him up and sell some tickets.
Exactly.
So I went with a player. I think John Lackey is going to get either released or DFA'd by the Cubs. So that's my prediction. I just think
I don't know. I don't think that's bold, but that's a prediction, and that's probably going to be right.
Yeah, it's just because he's a name. I think he's useless. Like he's literally useless at this point of his career. So I think the Cubs just cut bait with him at this point. So I can only see him like hearing the news in Madden's office and just slamming something on the desk.
Just swearing up a storm. Oh, yeah. John Lackey. I missed that guy. All right, so I have 2 more. How many more do you have?
I can go with 2 more, too.
All right, so I got 2 here. My next one, Aaron Judge wins the Triple Crown. So I think he's leading the home runs, obviously. I think he's slightly behind in batting average and RBIs. I don't see Judge slowing down. I think if anything, he heats right back up. I mean, I'm one of those guys who, like, when there's a lot of hype in the first half, I never expect it to carry over in the second half. What he showed me in just the home run derby, that guy he was born to hit baseballs. That's what he's going to do, and that's what he's going to do in the second half. So Aaron Judge wins the Triple Crown, the 3rd person to do it since Carl Yastrzemski in 1967 and Miguel Cabrera in 2012.
I like that one. I'll do 2 quick ones. Trey Turner, okay. I think he's obviously injured now, but I think he's going to come back and end up stealing 60 bags. So I think he's going to steal a lot of bags in a small amount of games played, which I think will be awesome to watch. And I think George Springer is going to set the record for leadoff home runs in a season by a leadoff hitter. So I'll go with that one. I mean, he's already got 27 on the season, so I think he's going to only add to that in the second half.
All right, and now this bold prediction here is going to anger a lot of people because it might actually be a stupid prediction, but guess what? I don't care. Mike Trout still manages to win AL MVP despite his injury.
That's bold. Yeah,
that's bold, but that's the whole point. Bold predictions. He missed 23 games in 2012, and he was runner-up for AL MVP behind Miguel Cabrera. I already predicted the Angels to make the playoffs, and Trout's going to be a big reason why if that happens. If Trout comes back, plays at his top level, and carries the Angels to the playoffs, good chance he wins AL MVP, especially if Judge falls off even a little bit.
I mean, if he ends up winning the AL MVP, I think the fix is in at that point. It's just Mike Trout's league at that point because everyone loves Mike Trout.
Hey,
he ends up winning it.
I think he's a little angry. I think he's sneaky a little angry that Judge is getting this face of baseball talk, and he's not getting much respect right now. So he'll be playing angry in the second half. The Angels are in the thick of things in that wild card race, so watch out for Mike Trout when he comes back.
Yeah, I like that one. That's definitely bold.
Definitely bold. All right, so we will wrap it up there. As usual, follow us on Twitter at EEphusPod. You can like us on Facebook. Leave a review on iTunes. Subscribe on iTunes. Do all that stuff on iTunes. Leave us a 5-star review. On that note, Zach, that's all I got. So unless you got anything else, we'll wrap it up.
No.
All right.
Looking forward to the All-Star game.
Yep. Looking forward to that. Looking forward to the second half. We will see you guys later.